So next, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some issues, specific issues. And by a show of fingers, who thinks that the US economy right now is in lousy shape? Show of fingers. Who would describe the US economy as being in lousy shape? 6 of you. So a number of you have talked about housing and the cost of housing. So we'll set that aside. And a number of you talked about inflation and the cost of living. Are there other items besides those two that would cause you to think the US economy is in lousy shape? Michael?
The deficit.
Deficit. Okay. What else? So it's basically those things. Am I hitting them right? Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that you're better off now than you were 4 years ago in February of 2020, right before the pandemic started? Who would say you're better off now than you were 4 years ago? None of you. One of you, Julius. Anybody else? Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that you're worse off now than you were 4 years ago? Any of the other 6 of you say you're worse off now? None of you. Okay, so for 6 of you, basically, you're in the same position now that you were 4 years ago. Am I hearing that right? Not better, not worse. By a show of fingers, who has seen prices going down over the past few months? Anybody seen any prices going down the last few months? I got Nakia and Michael. Nakia on what? On Jerome too. 3 of you.
On a few grocery items like eggs, milk, some of those household things, but there are other things that haven't gone down. So like I said, the smaller things I have seen go down.
Okay. Michael, what have you seen going down?
Yeah, and I've seen gas prices dropping in my area quite a bit.
Jerome, what about you?
They both said the same thing I was gonna say. So yeah, the eggs has come down, which I knew that was gonna come down. And then the gas was down, but it's back up in my area. It was actually the cheapest. And then I want to say like within 2 days it jumped, like it was like 10 cents, and then it was another 10 cents with like less than a week. And then it's dropped back down to 10 cents, but it's still higher than what it was originally.
Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that over the past few months, your wages have not kept up with your expenses?
In the past few months?
Yes, just in the last few months. Who would say that your wages have not kept up with your expenses? Okay, so for you, for 7 of you, they are keeping up. Okay. When it comes to helping working class Americans, who's better, Biden or Trump? By a show of fingers, who would say Biden is better for working class Americans? Hold on a second, I got 5 of you. Everybody but Nakia and Jerome. Who would say Trump is better for working class Americans? Nakia, would you say Trump is better or Biden?
I would go with Biden.
Oh, so 6, you would say, okay. And what about you, Jerome?
Between the two, I would say Biden. I
Okay.
definitely would not say Trump.
All right, so all 7 of you then would say that, and why is Biden better for working class Americans than Trump? Jerome, help me with that. Why?
Well, Trump is giving all his buddies a tax break, so I mean, ain't really helping us out.
Nakia, why would you say Biden?
I was going to say the same thing as Jerome. Like I said, he's helping more of the upper class people, and I feel like when he does help the lower, working class people, that, like I said, there's an offset. Like he might help us now, but it's going to hurt us later on.
Okay, got it. Any other reason Why you'd say Biden would be better for working class people than Trump would be?
Yeah, I mean, Biden has pushed an agenda to help the middle class. You know, when Trump did do his big tax break, there was a catch up tied to it in 2 years. So yeah, he gave a break to the lower class, but then again, it circled back and increased their taxes to get that money, recoup that money, and probably put them in a worse situation in many cases. It's just putting a lot of pressure on the middle. As you give, you know, anytime you give breaks to the upper, the tax base is gonna hold at the end of the day. So you're just putting more and more pressure on that middle class.
Got it. Okay. I want to circle back to a question we were talking before about Vice President Harris, and I asked you whether you thought you wanted her to be president someday. So the follow-up question is, are there any African-American any African-American politicians that you'd like to see be president someday? Or any African-Americans generally, they don't have to be politicians, that you, right now, who you'd like to see be president someday? Anybody? Julius, who you have?
Jeffries.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes.
Okay. By a show of fingers, who'd like to see Hakeem Jeffries maybe be president someday? Wow. Okay. So 5 of you, including Julius. Who else? Michael, go ahead.
I'll take the hit and say maybe it's because I haven't been keeping up with the Senate and the House people as much as I probably should. But I would love to see some of our younger, and while they got the tenure, they've done the time, they got the process down. I would love to see some of our younger folks be pushed to the forefront, so that we do have a better selection, in my opinion.
Got it. But there's no specific younger person you're like, oh, that person's a rock star. I hope that he or she is president someday.
No.
No? Okay. Got it. By a show of fingers, who thinks the US economy right now is in lousy shape? Who would describe the US economy right now as being in lousy shape? I got Dorothy, Michelle, Shalia, Kelly, 4 of you, all the women in the group. Kelly, in what ways is the economy in lousy shape?
Inflation.
Okay. Shalia, what about you?
Definitely inflation, and just everybody's going through a housing crisis right now. So that's like the biggest indicator for me that nobody can afford rent.
Okay. Michelle, what about you?
But based off the definition, because economy has to do with wealth and resources, being that I am a Black woman and we do not have as many wealth and resources, speaking about like pay gaps and things like that, I feel like it's going to be lousy for anyone in my position.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Dorothy, what about you?
Inflation.
Okay. So, by a show of fingers, who is better off now than you were 4 years ago?
In which way?
Overall, in the quality of your life, who's better off now than you were 4 years ago? 4 of you. Okay. By a show of fingers, who's worse off now than you were 4 years ago? 1 of you. Kelly, it's the same for you, or
I said better.
you said better? So
Shalia went to the bathroom.
we went to the bathroom. Okay. Hopefully we'll get her back in a second. By a show of fingers, who has seen prices going down in the past few months? Anybody seen any prices going down?
Gas fluctuates up and down every day.
I'm talking about a trend. Who's seen any price
Gas,
trend?
it trends down and it trends up. So I've seen gas trend down.
Okay, got it. So 1 of you has, and it's gas. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll second that. Gas has been on a steady trend down pretty low for a long span of time.
Okay.
I would say, and I might be on my own on this, but groceries seem to be going back down, leveling off a little bit.
What
Which-
city are you in again?
Fayetteville,
Which groceries? Any specific?
Yeah, where are
groceries?
you going?
just like the basic stuff. Now I mean, it's not where it used to be, but it's starting to kind of move back towards it from my perspective.
Michael, you got a specific product that you can tell me that's gone down in price?
Eggs.
Yeah, I'm talking like eggs, milk, bread, stuff like that.
Okay. Got it. By a show of fingers, who would say that over the past few months, your wages have not kept up with your expenses? Anybody say that? Your wages have not kept up with your expenses? No one would say that. And when it comes to helping working class Americans, who's better, Biden or Trump? By a show of fingers, just between those two, who would say Biden is better for working class Americans? Show of fingers, who would say Biden is better for working class Americans? 3 of you. Who would say Trump is better for working class Americans? And 1 of you didn't vote? Or Michael? How is Biden better? For those who said Biden.
I was thinking specifically about some of the grants and scholarships and things that he's put into colleges, because one thing that is beneficial is to come out of college debt free or lesser debt than we've had previously. So that's why like initiatives like school loan forgiveness is even necessary, because we didn't have some of those programs. So hopefully some of the programs that he's implemented will be beneficial for the generation coming up.
Okay, and you think of those folks, when I use the term working class Americans, that's the same people that you're thinking of when I use that term?
Working class Americans, students, and people that are going to come out of college. Yeah, I mean that's part of them. Yeah.
All right, just want to make sure we're in the same definitional world. Other ways that Biden has been helping working class Americans or is better for working class Americans?
He's more in tune, in touch, in my opinion, with the average American. There was a lot of shenanigans that happened when Trump was in office. People think the how can I say this? The checks everybody got came from him because he signed it. Democrats led the push on that.
Got it. And and so 3 of you said that Trump is better for working. By the way, Shirley, who do you think is better for working class Americans, Trump or Biden?
Biden.
Okay. So who for 3 of you said Trump is better? Why?
Because I have money in my pocket.
Yeah, and those checks helped, especially for
In fact-
childcare.
You can thank the Democrats.
Who gave those checks?
Exactly. That's kind of confusing because Trump did not give those checks.
Okay.
Trump
Got
signed the paper. That's it. That's all he did was sign a paper.